The more I think about it, the more I think that the midlife crisis is a myth. Okay, I'm 46 now. I'm smack dab middle age, smack dab in midlife. And the more I think about it, the more I think that we believe in midlife crises because we've been told our whole life that when you get to midlife, you might have one. We've heard the term. And so when we get to this age or other people get to this age and they do anything outside of the ordinary, we're like, oh, that's a midlife crisis. But I think it's a myth. Now, I do believe at this age, as with every age, there's changes, hopefully there's growth. You might, act a little differently. You might see the world differently. You might start to understand certain things that makes you react certain ways. But I don't think that constitutes a midlife crisis. I think even when we see people display some of the extreme behavior that people like to talk about when they're describing midlife crises, I think the crisis actually happened beforehand. I think the crisis happened earlier, and you're just seeing the response to that. I think a lot of times, that classic behavior of someone, getting to middle age and they start trying to look younger and maybe they start dating younger and they start, doing more things they never did. I think the crisis was the fact that when they were younger, they never got to do any of that. They were locked into a job. They had all this responsibility. So when you get middle age and you start really thinking about your mortality, when you start realizing oh, this thing is halfway over, a lot of people are convinced they're going to die at 70. So it's more than halfway over. You start thinking about death coming around the corner. I think you start being man, because I didn't get to do all this stuff back then, I want to start doing it now. I don't think that constitutes a crisis. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a crisis. I think we're growing up. You know what I mean? We're seeing things differently. I think it's okay to act differently, even if you do some of that extreme stuff, as long as you ain't hurt nobody. I don't think we have to just go along and live our lives and behave in the same way we always did. No. If you get to midlife and you want to switch some things up because you didn't get to do those things when you were younger, or you realize hey, the next chapter of my life, I want it to look this way. Maybe I was taking care of business back in the day. Maybe I had more responsibilities. Now, maybe not so many responsibilities. Now I have different priorities. I'm going to live my life different. I don't think people have the right to say it's a crisis. A crisis? No, you're just a grown up now. You know what I mean? Just let us live our lives in middle age. Enjoy yourself. Live your life. Don't worry about if you're having a crisis or not.